In this presentation, we'll take a brief look at some of the new features and enhancements to the advanced modeling workflow within the extension release of Autodesk Maya 2014. Now, with the release of Autodesk Maya 2014, we introduced the Advanced Modeling Toolkit. What I want to take a look at here are some of the changes or enhancements specifically to the Quad Draw tool and the way that we constrain selections or geometry. So previously, underneath the selection and transform constraints, underneath the pull-down menu, we had the ability to select other surfaces, and this allowed you to constrain geometry that you wanted to use the Quad Draw tool on as a live surface to draw with. Well, what we've done is removed that or separated that from the selection and transform constraint drop down over here, and we've gone with the legacy make live menu. Now, the way that I can work with that is I can simply select a mesh I want to work with, in this case my Dave monster, and hit the magnet icon, and you'll see that it's actually highlighting up on the toolbar what my active mesh is. Now, another way that we can work with this, if we turn this off, is I can right click at any time on any mesh and select Make Live, and you'll see that once again it highlights up there. While I'm up here, it's worth noting that at any time if I right click, I'll get a pull down menu or a list of all the other meshes that I've previously highlighted to have made live, if you will, for working with Quad Draw or in a make live sense for any other functionality. And this is really handy for switching between meshes that you may want that live functionality to work with. So in this case here, I want to work with the skin mesh of this Dave character, and I want to begin to do a bit of a manual retopology of his face. Well, let's take a look at some of the features and enhancements that we've added to the Quad Draw tool. Now, Quad Draw is a very powerful and quick way to work with laying out geometry on a mesh just by simply drawing down these little dots. And then holding down my Shift key, I can just highlight and then commit to creating simple polygons. Another way that we can work with this is with Control Shift, and this allows us to draw out poly strips, as you can see I'm doing along the edge of his jaw here. Now, a couple of things about this. That's a very quick way to work, drawing out the dots, hitting the Shift key, and also drawing poly strips. But another really handy way to work is with extensions. So if we take a look underneath the Quad Draw options, you'll see a couple of new parameters here. So we have this Extend drop-down menu. I'm going to go to Extend Edge. Now we have a couple ways that we can access that we'll take a look at here momentarily. So with Extend Edge, what that's going to allow me to do is grab, if I hit Control Shift on any edge, I can now just drag that edge out and I can keep going. And this will allow me to control how I want to draw my edges as I go. Another really nice way to work with that is if I hit Control Shift right click, I'm accessing the marking menu here. I'm going to grab Extend Loop, and what that will allow me to do is Control Shift and grab an entire loop, and you see now that I have the ability to just pull out an entire loop and create a mesh rather rapidly, sticking live to the existing surface that I'm working with. Now, a couple other ways that we can work with Extend. You can see in the drop-down menu here we have Edge, Loop, and Border. Well, if we select Border either through the drop-down menu or through the marking menu, you'll see that we have actually a really nice way to work here as well. So if I Control Shift and left click, I can pull out and extend based off of the border of that mesh. And that's a really nice way to work as well, because that allows me to grab or grow out the existing mesh patch that I've worked with here as I've gone along. And you'll see that you're getting the corners automatically by extending that border as you draw. This, of course, works with vertices as well. Now let's take a look at a couple other functionalities that we've added here. You'll see as I'm moving along, by default we're always getting this relax brush. Well, we've added that into the Advanced Modeling Toolkit by default so that at any time at the component level I can begin to relax these vertices, for example, or by edge, or by faces. So I can grab an entire face and begin to kind of relax or paint that in there as well. We have a couple other ways that we can work with that. If we go to our marking menu, you'll see that we have a relax here on the left-hand side for interior vertices, border vertices, or all vertices. Let's go to interior vertices. And if I begin to work with that, what that's going to allow me to do is affect all of the interior vertices. I'm relaxing all of these interior vertices on this patch here, but I'm not affecting any of the border verts. And inversely, of course, I can select my border vertices and only affect the border vertices, but not my interior vertices. And of course, we have the ability to select all vertices, and this will allow me to just rapidly relax that mesh based off borders and interior vertices as well. Now, another handy functionality with working with Quad Draw is the middle mouse click. At any time with middle mouse click, I can actually grab geometry, and I'm effectively in what we call tweak mode. So I can grab a face, and this works again at the component level. I can grab vertices and I can tweak that if I want to bring this one back out maybe towards a bit of a corner again. And I can grab edges and I can work specifically with those edges or any other component that I may want to work with here. Now, another really handy way to work, of course, in the tweak mode is the ability to access soft select. So we've added that. If we hit the B hotkey, which is common throughout the modeling workflow within Maya, that's going to give you your soft selection. And of course, holding down B, I can adjust the overall radius of the components that I want to affect. So in this case here, you can see what I'm affecting, and I'm getting the pre-selection highlighting going on here. So now with that tweak mode, I can effectively grab, based off of my component, I'm using soft selection to adjust that. That's an excellent way to be able to work and edit my mesh on the fly as I go as well. Now, we've taken a look at a couple of different ways that we can tweak, we can relax the mesh, and that we can work with some of the extension or extending some of the edges or edge loops. Let's take a look at one more thing here that's really powerful within Quad Draw. I'm just going to turn off my soft select. I'm going to make sure I'm in Quad Draw, and I'm just going to draw out a simple little patch here. With this patch, what I want to be able to do is I can draw out all of these different things. We've seen how I can grab an edge and simply rather quickly extend that. But what if I want to be able to fill in this gap here? Sure, I can hit my Shift key and fill that in, but I may want to be able to have the control to rapidly create geometry in all different directions as I go. Well, with Auto Weld, we now have the ability to take an edge, for example, and if I just drag that in, it'll automatically weld or snap to the existing vertices there. And that's really nice because that's going to allow me to just snap as I go. This is also interesting. If we use our edge loop and I grab this, we can actually effectively snap or auto weld loops in there. And of course, at any time, I can hit Shift and begin to dial in more edges in there to define or make a more of a dense mesh. So with Auto Weld, it defaults to 10 pixels as a tolerance level, and of course you can adjust that on the fly. Let's take a look at a couple of other things that we've added here. One last thing, since I'm looking at adding edge loops into there, we've added the ability to tweak edge loops simply by hitting Control and middle mouse. And now I can effectively grab and tweak full edge loops as I go. And I can also use Control left click to delete edge loops if I don't want them. Here I'm just using Shift to add in another one here quite quickly as I go. So let's take a look at what else is new within the extension release for Autodesk Maya 2014 with modeling. We're going to grab our little muffler here and take a look at some other new features that we have available. A new efficient, faster, and more reliable Boolean library has now been integrated into Maya. So previously with the Boolean system in Maya, we were limited to a system that would often take a long time and could sometimes produce inaccurate results. So in this case here with the new Carve library that we've added into Maya, I'm just going to take a look at a couple of the new features that are available or how fast and robust the system truly is. So in this case here we have these simple objects here, this muffler object. I'm just going to grab the two objects, and underneath the mesh menu, if I go to Booleans and simply hit Union, let's take a look at the options here. The legacy Boolean algorithm does still remain in there if you prefer to use that. You can select that at any time, but I think you'll be happy with the new results that we have with this as well. Of course, now with union, you'll see how fast the operation is. So if we start to work with this, you can see that I'm effectively, this is an object that we've created a simple union on, and you can see the fast ability to interact with it as I work. Of course, now if I go into my channel box here, and let's grab our new geometry, let's change the operation to a difference, and you'll see now that we have this simple little pipe hole right down the middle. And again, something that previously would have been difficult to do is to be able to work with objects this quickly, as well as to be able to bring them and break the surface right along the edge. You can see that by doing that, we're getting very accurate results as I go here. So I'm actually taking that pipe that moves through the middle of the muffler, and I'm actually cutting it right through as I go. And you see that it's very quick, very fast solution that's giving me nice, accurate results as I work. So let's take a look at a couple other ways that we can work with this here. Of course, with Booleans here again, we do have the third option there of doing an intersection, which is going to give me the middle pipe or generate that piece in the middle. Let's leave it at difference for now. And let's display these little guys. So the previous operation in working with Booleans, you were limited to 2 meshes. Well, that is no longer. We can now grab this mesh in this case here, and if I do another Boolean operation, let's do a difference operation on there, and you can see that we now have these little divots, and you see how fast that was as well. And of course, the nice thing about that, just to show again how fast that was, if we grab the pipe, we're still able to accurately grab that and affect everything now. Now we have 2 Boolean operations going on with multiple objects here, and we're able to change those as we go. I can also grab this object that I was working with previously here, and you can see that I can quickly move that around. So you're not limited to just 2 polygonal objects. You can use a multitude of objects to produce a variety of different effects using the new Boolean library within the extension release for Autodesk Maya 2014.